Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend with all of the latest and greatest in new indie and small press comics. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to get you excited about a bunch of books you're most definitely going to want to add to your read list as soon as possible. This week we've got 2 weeks worth of comics, so it is going to be a giant stack, so get your pens and papers ready to write down all of the stuff that you're going to want to add to your list immediately. But as always, before we can wind down our weekend with comics, we need to wind down our weekend with the wine that we're drinking. And so this week we have Shannon Ridge, which is a Cab Sav, and it is it has all of the flavors in it. It's supposed to have like dark chocolate aromas layered with like plum and cranberry, and then flavors of blackberry and spice and a hint of tobacco. It's supposed to be really smooth. So it's got a lot in it. We're gonna see. You definitely smell that it has a lot in it. It smells like, I feel like Cab Sav smell, where they just have all those flavors that kind of hit you. But that is a lot of flavors.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very robust. Mm-hmm. There's like, I definitely tasted a little bit of the spice, and I think that is the a cranberry. I always have to remember the difference in taste in berries when I drink Cab Savs, especially. Yeah, it's almost like drinking like mixed berry juice.
Yeah.
Like a really
it's thick like a juice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very it feels like I'm drinking like a really thick, like not a really thick juice, because juice is obviously a really thin juice, I guess I should say, but with like lots of different fruits in it, but that's like still got spice to it. It's actually really good. Mm-hmm. And I imagine that with so many different flavors in there, it's going to open up to be a completely different taste in like 30 minutes, which we've been having a lot of the wines recently that are like chock full of flavor, and we're like, oh, that's not even the same. It's not as much as the Mo, where it was like every drink was completely different. It does kind of like still have a similar taste throughout, but it is something that tastes like you're getting lots of flavors at one time. I'm like blackberry, cranberry, plum. That's the other flavor. That's the one.
Definitely plummy.
Definitely plummy. I was like, I feel like I'm missing one. Yeah. Fruit juice, man. Fruit juice. Which I feel like Cab Savs typically are more of like your fruit juice wines, that like adult juice box. This is like an adult juice box for sure. But like a high quality wine, not like, you know, some of those like juices that are more sugar water than anything. Anyway, we're going to be drinking that throughout the night. If you're hanging out, winding down your weekend with us, let us know. Drop it in the comments. Even if you're watching this later on a playback, like we still want to see that you tuned in, blah, 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 and that you're what you're reading. We want to hear about the books that you're enjoying. Speaking of things that are going on and hearing from you, we have been incredibly busy at Bat City. You may have noticed that we weren't here last Sunday, and that is because we did some really major renovations to the store, and I would love to tell you all about them, but I'm not going to, because it's almost Free Comic Book Day, and so you should come out on Saturday, May 3rd for Free Comic Book Day and see all of the renovations for yourself if you haven't already been here to see them, because they are amazing, and I feel like me talking about them is going to do nothing compared to you seeing them, which is why we also haven't posted them on the internet, because we want you to come see them in person. So remember, Free Comic Book Day is Saturday, May 3rd. I'm going to say that probably 27 more times during this stream. But you should come. That's this Saturday. It's already May in like 4 days. That's insane. But here we are. So come out, come see all of the new renovations. I do want to do like a major shout out to everybody that helped with them. Tim B, Mike, both of them actually, both of our Mikes. Santiago, as always there, making sure if nothing else, just that we don't lose our sanity. A super duper shout out to our boy Noah Bartman, who was a huge integral part of making it go great. Alex for his help. There was just somebody, I know Mercury even stopped by at one point. There were so many people who stopped by and participated in helping us get this done, and we could not have done it in 3 days without all of you coming in from day one and really helping with that. So again, if you haven't come out, it's a new kids section. It's a new classroom. There is one more room still to go, and you're going to get to see all of those during Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, May 3rd. You can start counting now. That's one. I said 27 more times. Let's see how many more times I can actually shove that in there. Also, we've had a ton of great things. We had Academic Avengers. We had our annual educator seminar and reception. Huge thank you to the Patterson Foundation for helping us put those events on, but also a huge shout out to Vernona Hungarian Gourmet down the street from us for hooking us up with some incredible food for the educator seminar. We were all so stuffed with deliciousness afterwards. If you've never eaten at Vernona, go down there and enjoy that incredible food. And we're going to be posting more pictures of the great spread that they gave us. We put it in our story, but we're going to be sharing it some more so you guys can see all of the yummy food that you need to grab when you go there. We also had comic creation workshops. We got to go out, I think since the last time we saw you, we went to Rowlett for RallyCon, which is their middle academy's Comic-Con. We went to Alta Vista for their World Fair and got to talk to kids about manga and help them draw their own manga characters. There's been library visits, school visits, so many things, and so many more to come this week alone. So if you're watching this and you are in the Bradenton or the Sarasota area, on Tuesday at 6:30, from 6:30 to 8 p.m., we will actually be launching a gallery of amazing comics and collectible experiences that you had in the comic industry on display at the Ringling College. This is going to be, it's in their library. It's going to be so incredibly cool. There's going to be comics and original art that we are putting on display from Bat City. So it is a Bat City X Ringling College display that's going to talk about the history, the impact, the value of comics throughout. And there's going to be some really, really cool stuff. And there is a reception for that on Tuesday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the library where you can come see the collection and have some refreshments and support the Ringling College, which is going to be really cool. We're really excited. That will be on display all summer long, but the reception is this Tuesday. And more information to come about some other fun things we're going to be doing with them over the course of the summer. There's so many things. Free Comic Book Day, that's two. Is this Saturday, May 3rd. We're going to kick it off at 11. There's going to be 3 hot dogs in the morning from the Good News Grillers. There's going to be like 5 or 6 artists that you're going to want to see. We're being doing announcements for them all week long. There's going to be some vendors. There's going to be a ton of free comics. I know everybody's been like, is Free Comic Book Day still happening this year? Yes, and it's going to be insane, and you're going to want to come. Don't miss it. Get here early. Feel free to line up as early as you want. We're going to be opening the doors at 11, and we will be out there to tell you which door it is, because it will not be the normal entrance that you use at Bat City. If you haven't come for Free Comic Book Day, we always use a different entrance, and we're going to be telling you what entrance that is this week. Also, if you're looking for a place to park, there are parking lots all around the community that you can park in. There's also street parking. Just make sure you're parked in the direction of the flow of traffic, and not past any signs that say don't park here. We'll be doing more information on all of that with some little maps and things too, so that help you out. But it is going to be a lot of fun. We can't wait. Creator Meetup is this Wednesday at 6:30. Don't forget. And since we're doing shout outs and thank yous, we just want to give a shout out and a thank you to everybody who nominated Bat City for the Will Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award. We are nominated again this year. Thanks to all of you. So many of you came in and have been asking, like, did we hear? We have made it into the first round. The first round is where we are going to make our video and build our notebook of information of all the things we do, so that we can actually be, like, entered to see if we can become a finalist and maybe win this year. So thank you to everybody who nominated us. It is such an honor always to be what you think the Spirit of Comics is and to be your favorite comic shop in the world. So thank you, everyone. And now we're going to talk about some stuff. So we're going to kick it off with this really big surprise box that we got. This is from our friends at Mad Cave, who told us absolutely nothing about this surprise box coming our way. And we just got a tracking thing, and we're really excited. And so I'm going to open this up, and we're going to look at all this cool stuff that's in here. So we've got some things. I love things. Ooh, this has tape. Okay. All right. So we've got this card in here that has a date of June 4th, 2025. And it says, to find out what happens next, visit your local comic shop on June 4th, 2025 and pick up Endless Night #1. Be sure to pre-order your copy before May 12th, 2025. And there's some top secret information. We're going to figure out maybe a little bit more about this clue as we go through this folder. So there are some flyers in here. And I can tell you the one thing I know already about this is Endless Night is kind of the big tie-in, high-concept comic book crossover for our underworld that we've been seeing from Mad Cave, which is Revolution 9, Exit City, and Hour of the Wolf. This summer, they're going to all cross over into one big story, and we are going to see what exactly that looks like. There's some little pamphlets and stuff in here that showcase some of that information. So if you're like, I didn't read those series, you can get some information about what they are and kind of get ready for them. But there's more. Oh, that's another little piece of information about it. But I'm so excited about this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it looks like there are 3 variants in here. This one being from Exit City, and it's got a little clue on the back. Who are the detectives? Aidan McCormick and Eve Miller. This is a convention exclusive to let us of Exit City #1, which is, of course, one piece of the puzzle. And then the Hour of the Wolf, who is the monster hunter, Owen Blackwood. This is a convention exclusive of Hour of the Wolf #1. So how that's going to play into there, we'll see. And then I really love this Dan Panosian Revolution 9 special. Like, this is also a convention exclusive #1. I love this cover so much. It's so cool. I don't know who did all the other ones without opening them up, but this one I know is Dan Panosian because I recognize it. And then there is a confidential for authorized personnel clue folder. It's got a little tab. I just cut it open so that I could open this for you guys to see. But there is evidence in here. This says a bunch of stuff on it. Oh, it looks like I can read it backwards. So it's got like that it's from the Exit City Police Department. Mysterious violent clock is what it says. Evidence recorded by M. London, which is Mark London, who is in charge of Mad Cave, but is also writing these books. It's got our victim's full name, so we have a victim name, which is going to be important, I'm sure. And then what date that they sealed this. And if I flip it around, there is actually a pocket watch in here. And I don't want to take it out because I think it's so cool that it's in here, but there is a pocket watch and maybe a piece of our clue in this evidence bag. And then there's also some information. So we've got some case file pieces of information here, some notes on our case profile for Aidan McCormick, who's been a detective but is, struggling with some stuff. If you read Exit City, if you didn't read it, you're going to want to do that before you jump into Endless Night. But there is also something that says there's a bizarre incident in Exit City Hotel that is resulting in multiple deaths. So that's going to be our newspaper article. And then some extra pieces of the puzzle. So these are really cool. It kind of tells us who all of our characters are going to be and what their relationship to the story is, which is a really, really cool marketing campaign. So thank you, Mad Cave. I'm already stoked about the book, but the fact that you went this far and you gave us all this stuff really has me hyped up. If you want to check this out and see what Endless Night is, and if it's for you, we're gonna have all of this where you can actually look at it. And you know what? Maybe we will be raffling these off or something for at Free Comic Book Day. Maybe we'll add those into a prize package or something. So we'll see. But thank you, Mad Cave. You'll see if I give up that damn potion cover. It's so cool. No, it'll definitely all be included. So thanks, Mad Cave. Shout out to Anna and Keith from Mad Cave, who were really excited to send us that. And I'm so excited because it's so cool. And again, Put it on your pull list. Add Endless Night. I don't know how much you're going to need to have read the other 3 to do it, but I'm just going to tell you right now, like Revolution 9 just came out in trade paperback form, and the others are soon to follow, so you're going to be able to just grab those trades and catch up if you're not into going back and looking for other single issues. I'm going to take another drink of this wine, and so that I can jump into talking about all of these comics. So, all right, we got a lot this week because it is 2 weeks, so we're going to go and get going. So we've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures, issue 24, which is crazy that we're on 24 of this series, but I'm so excited. If you don't know, this is taking your Ninja Turtles cartoons from the 80s and giving them and 90s and giving them a new life inside of here. And so these are like essentially if there were new episodes of the show. And in this ongoing overarching part of the story, we have seen Shredder has gotten trapped between 2 dimensions, and Krang and another villain from another dimension have been working to try to get Shredder out of there. Meanwhile, their work in this issue has accidentally caused these 3 turtles who have the same names and look like most of the Ninja Turtles to come over to our side, and they are criminals. They are bad turtles, and so they are making our turtles look bad, and so our turtles have to work together to stop them, and hijinks ensue. And of course Donatello has a master plan because he's smarter than everybody, and it's fantastic. We have seen these 3 terrible turtles before, as Michelangelo once got sent to their dimension within this series. But what I love about these is that you can actually just jump around, even though there is an overarching story. It's just like anything else with a cartoon kind of series. The episodes, if you jump in and you just start there, you're totally fine and can enjoy that adventure, while you can also pick up the whole thing and read it in order. Great for all ages. We've got Redcoat issue 11 from Image and the Ghost Machine imprint. This is our big moment that we've kind of been waiting for, where Simon Pure is actually meeting the Northerner in this story, and so we do get to see what that entails. And so it's kind of showing us during the Civil War what Simon was up to. If you don't know the story, Simon is an immortal who was given that power when the founding fathers of America were trying to give themselves immortality, and he accidentally, drunkenly fell into their big plan, and he was the one that ended up getting the immortality. And now he's in the Civil War, and he's like, hey, America is always right for a war against themselves and other people, and so he's like, I just do my best to stay out of it, but also make money off of it. So he's been working as a messenger for whoever wants to pay him. And in this particular instance, he is about to go on a messaging mission when he comes across a man who it's called the Northerner, and he's like, hey, I need your help. You're gonna have to come and be a part of this battle. You're gonna have to kind of help me save this kid and solve this problem. And Simon's always, he says he's, Simon Pure, but he's anything but, and he's never got the best intentions at heart. But he always ends up doing exactly the best thing for people, and whatever the motivations are. And so in this one, he's being questioned to come up and maybe be a part of something bigger than himself. And we do learn that once again, Simon's immortality is in jeopardy, as always. And so it's really cool to see how it is tied to America, though, in this issue, and the start of that kind of feeling of where Jeff Johns is really going to bridge that out even bigger. And so I can't wait to see what happens in the next issue. Those cliffhangers get me every time on that book. Witchblade issue 10 from Image and the Top Cow imprint. This is such a great retelling, revitalizing of the Witchblade series. We're seeing the story in a different way, and this is all about Sarah, who is a police detective whose father was killed by some people who, some high criminal people that she's been trying to take down anyway. And so now she's like, I'm going to go after them specifically, like to kind of get vengeance for my father, who may or may not have been a crooked cop, may have been a good cop. She's still kind of on the fence about figuring that out. But in the course of her time, she's been given the power of the Witchblade, and now she is using that to take these people down. And it's kind of giving her not only bigger powers, but also the ability to to sense more of who these people are and to kind of travel between worlds. And in the last couple of issues, we have seen the first inkling of the return of the Darkness, who is also Image Top Cow character from the same time period, that 90s time period. And she is trying to figure out just exactly what that is, and how come like nobody can see it and reveal it. It doesn't reveal itself to anybody but her. She's really starting to figure maybe the information she heard about her not being the Witchblade's like true host isn't correct, and so she is kind of trying to come into her own of that power, but also into the knowledge that she has. And we're going to see if Sarah can ever really get it all together, because part of the reason like she needed the Witchblade is because she's kind of a mess of a human, and hopefully this helps her. She's making some choices, though, that, I'm not really sure what's going for her. Epitaphs from the Abyss, issue 10 from Oni Press, and the return of the EC Comics line. This is a horror anthology, so you can pick up any one that you want at any time and get 3 fun stories that will remind you not to be a bad person. The first one is a story called I Don't Miss You, and it's all about a guy who isn't the best at relationships and kind of gets to the point where he always gets tired of them, and he takes care of them in a very special way to remind himself that, even if the relationship's great, when you start to pull away from him, he doesn't miss that. And maybe he won't miss you at all when you're gone. And it's just, make better dating choices, women. That's what I have to say about that. And then there's one that is called Splinter, and it's all about a man who, when he was a young boy, he got a splinter in his hand, and his dad kind of essentially toxically abused him for being afraid of the pain of the splinter and all of the work, and it has completely corrupted who he has become. And now he is this multi-million billionaire who is in charge of a corporation that is kind of trying to take out all trees in the world. Because he's got this vendetta against lumber, and it goes ways. It goes lots of ways, and sometimes we just can't get past that childhood trauma. And then the last one is called Feed the Right Wolf, and it is about a comic creator who just has a mess of a life and is too into all of his bad for him foods and things like that, because he's more concerned about his work than his health. And when his doctor tells him he needs to get it together, he unleashes the beast inside of him, quite literally, and we see how that impacts him in the worst possible ways. So again, just great horror stories that also remind you that sometimes the choices we make have real consequences. We've got Dick Tracy, issue 9 from Mad Cave. This is the second arc of the story, and in the first arc, we kind of saw most of the characters that we know from Dick Tracy's Rogues Gallery kind of get taken out, and it seemed like it was just going to be a one and done. And now in the second arc of Dick Tracy, we are actually following a more detailed story of Dick Tracy trying to figure out who is the serial killer, the Blink, who is attacking them. And every issue we've kind of been oh, we know who the Blink is. And every issue we are okay, maybe we don't know who the Blink is. I'm really curious to see which direction they're going to go, because there's the comic strip version of the Blink and there is the movie version of the Blink. And we're still kind of piecing it together. What I do like about this arc, though, is we are starting to see Dick Tracy kind of come into his own. He's really actually starting to realize that some of the ways that he works as a detective aren't always the most conducive to having a partner or having friends or things of that nature. And so he is starting to see that he's going to have to put some trust into other people. One of the other things we start to see is him and Tess's relationship start to develop, and I'm really here for that. I really want to see them get together. We had the really cute Valentine's Day special. That was just a bunch of Dick Tracy and Tess Trueheart trying to go on dates and have their moments. And in this one, he kind of gets told by Tess, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? We need to I know we both got a lot going on, but there might need to be a conversation here. And I love to see them finally starting to have those conversations. And also, if Breathless Mahoney gets in the way, I'm going to be mad. Flash Gordon, issue 8, also from Mad Cave. Flash has been in some big drama and some big trouble recently. This issue, or this series, actually kind of started with Flash in the middle of something. You know, he is being called the World Killer because apparently him trying to fight Ming led to the destruction of the world. And there's been a lot of problems for him since then. He starts actually locked up in a prison with Ming, ironically. And over the course of the last 8 issues, him and Ming have worked together to escape from that world, and ended up like your biggest, villain can also obviously is going to betray you at some point. And now Flash has figured out that the love of his life, Dale, may actually be alive and be okay, but she is going to be marrying an evil villain because she is maybe under mind control, maybe she just has completely changed who she is as a person, and Flash is determined to figure out, is there any way to save her, and is there any way to kind of rebuild those relationships he had with other people and his allies, and kind of save the world from whatever evil is coming his way. Always filled with action and adventure when you go on a journey with Flash Gordon. The Power Fantasy, issue 8 from Image Comics. This is such a big undertaking from Kieran Gillen. He is building us another giant world like he did with The Wicked and Divine, all about superheroes. And each one of these has kind of given us a little insight into the different heroes of this world, who are very much not the typical heroes. These are more like your Watchmen heroes, who are very much like, we have power, but we're not necessarily using it in the right ways, and we're kind of figuring out ourselves as much as we're figuring out what to do with these powers. And there's a lot of internal battles and internal struggles on ethics and understanding. They are very, very powerful beings, though, and so their constant need to prove themselves to each other, and the world is kind of gotten them into a lot of places that don't really work so well. In this issue, we're getting the second part of what happened with issue 7 in this, which is the story of one of our characters who is very, very strong. And the only thing that kind of keeps her from destroying herself and the world around her is the fact that she is made to believe that her faith in God is something to keep her in check. And she's constantly trying to control herself through that, and we learn what that manipulation actually looks like, and what that where that's actually coming from, and what really is this internal struggle with her in this issue. And it was a really interesting conversation because, again, the people in this have such weird morals, and so the Professor Xavier kind of character in this is constantly controlling everybody's minds in a way that I don't think we talk about Xavier doing enough. We don't talk about the bad thing that is what Professor Xavier is doing, and we're kind of having that conversation in this book, and we see that really a lot in this issue, and it's fascinating. Honestly, if you like the Eternals movie or the Eternals comics, and you like those big hero characters who are almost too godlike for their own good, and it's very verbose storytelling to go with it, The Power Fantasy is a great book for you to pick up. Null Hunter, issue 7 from Image Comics. This is a cyberpunk style Hercules retelling. This is the 7 Labors of Hercules, and we're kind of getting to see more of that as the story kind of rolls on. We have a guy who is known for being just this ultimate strong person. He's been given this power through some mech updates on himself after his family was killed, and he's being forced to do a bunch of jobs for the people of Olympus. And in each job that he does, we're kind of seeing him slowly start to realize that these godlike people who are running things, this corporation, Olympus, does not have the best of anybody's intentions at heart, and that they may be more behind the situation he's in than he was originally led to believe. And so as he does these labors, we're seeing that he's not actually necessarily doing the exact thing that they're asking for. And in this one, he is told that he needs to go take out a ruler of another place and bring back the proof that he is dead. And he's kind of got some conflicting feelings about that, because he sees a lot of himself in the situation that he goes to. And so we kind of get to see him work through that process as he makes his choices. And we're going to see how the fallout of him kind of starting to not do what they tell him to is going to work out. Minor Arcana issue 6 from Boom Studios. This is really a great look at somebody kind of trying to overcome the childhood trauma that they've never wanted to address. It is about a woman who finds out that her mother, who she wants nothing to do with, has been diagnosed with cancer and is dying, and she's like, I guess I have to go home to the small town I'm from and take care of her. And when she gets there, her mom is like, I need you to take over my psychic shop and do readings, do crystal ball readings and tarot readings and palm readings and things. And she's like, none of this is real, Mom. You fake it. Like, why don't you just close the shop? And she's like, my customers need me. And in the process of doing that, the woman learns that she actually might have a true psychic ability, and she is kind of coming to terms not only with that, but with the things that it's showing her, which is there's something mysterious about the relationship she had with her grandfather, and how her family has this connection to the psychic world. And in this issue, she's about to leave. She's over it. She doesn't want to hang out with her. She doesn't want to be stuck with her mom anymore. She doesn't want to do this. And she has an interaction with a young kid that kind of opens up another door to her past for her. And she's like, I have to explore this a little bit more. And so we kind of see that in this issue. Really interesting to see where this might actually be going, because Jeff Lemire is always building like these family trauma stories, and they always end up very sad. And so we're going to see how this one plays out for us. And also, I just want to know who the grandpa is, and like what, I mean, like we know who he is, but we know nothing about him. And I really, flawed narrator with lack of vision always just makes me want to know more. Hornsby and Halo issue 6 from Image Comics and the Ghost Machine imprints. This is such a fun story about two kids who have just learned recently that they are the future of the afterlife. One is a celestial being, essentially from heaven, possibly supposed to be the person who takes over running heaven. Meanwhile, his neighboring childhood friend is actually a demon, an infernal, who is supposed to take over hell someday. And there is a prophecy that something very, very bad could happen, and these kids could either save the world or be the destruction of it. And so they have been sent to live on Earth, and they are sent to live with beings of the opposite nature. And so the girl who is supposed to take over hell is sent to live with like the world's best people who have just never done anything wrong. And our celestial boy is actually sent to live with like a very Matilda set of parents. Like they are terrible and abusive to him and treat him like he's awful, and that he needs to like learn to rob and chill and cheat and steal against people. And now these two have just met their protector, the guy that's watching over them, and have learned the truth of their real identities, and they are very much not looking forward to, I want to see if I can find one of those pictures of heaven, not looking forward to the role that they have to play and the experiences that they're being forced into. And they are like, we don't accept, and he's like, it's not an option. And so we're going to see what the fallout of that is now that they have been told this information and they finally have returned home, and you know, they've got to deal with it going forward. It's going to be interesting. G.I. Joe issue 6 from Image and Skybound imprint and the Energon universe. We are starting to see more and more of that like build out of the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover happening in each of these issues. And in the last few issues, the Joes have actually infiltrated Cobra's headquarters and have been, Duke has been trying to stop him from opening up this machine that would basically kill a ton of people and make all the rest of them mind controlled by Cobra Commander, and have to follow his orders. And so he has been fighting that, and in this one we see the culmination of that fight. We also see a lot of big angry feelings between Deathstroke and Cobra Commander coming out of this issue, as things are not going the way either of they're not going the way Deathstroke planned. They're definitely going the way Cobra Commander planned. Meanwhile, Duke is realizing that going back to working with the Joes and the government may not have actually been the solution that he was looking for. He does enjoy his team and that he's able to work with them again. But he is still seeing that there is more going on in this world, and there's a lot of stuff happening with the robots that only seems like Cobra Commander and Deathstroke seem to know about them, but the government still isn't addressing the situation for him. And so he's still got a lot of, like, maybe we should do this on our own kind of feelings. And the team is struggling to keep it together. The Hexiles, issue 6 from Mad Cave. This is the story of a bunch of kids who are actually not kids. They're like in their 20s, late 20s, if that. And they all find out that they are all the children, the illegitimate children of one man who wanted a lot of power and everything he wanted in life to go his way. And so he had a ton of kids with whoever, like with random people, so that he could sell the kids' souls to the devil so that he could get the power and deals that he wanted out of them. Now these kids are in their 20s, and there's 6 of them that have found each other at his funeral, and they all realize that they all have a different power set, something that was given to them by being essentially cursed beings. And there is a woman who has called them all together and is trying to claim their power for herself, and she wants to, as they have found out, use it as a way to build her own power and become the ultimate ruler, essentially, of hell. And these kids are like, hey, we got to stop this. We didn't sign up to have these powers. We didn't sign up to give our souls to Satan. We don't want to have anything to do with any of this. And so they're like, we got to stop this. And so this issue is kind of the wrap up. I feel like we might see more from this in the future, but it definitely is kind of our wrap up for right now of how these kids are going to handle that exact situation in the moment. Again, I keep saying kids, but they're like at least mid-20s, if not older. I don't know, it's kids to me. Somebody's kids. We've got issue 6 of Corvus from Dead Sky. This is also the wrap up of this series, although I would love to see more because it really opened up a really big world. But this is all about essentially a group of people who are on a spaceship, and the Earth has been attacked by a weird group of aliens, and these people are kind of the only ones who are outside of it enough that can figure out how to stop it. They end up bringing a guy on board who is kind of just a big video gamer, and he gets kind of sucked into this thing. And over the course of the last 6 issues, he's kind of become a part of the team and started to understand what's going on, but is also really like, I just want to go home and I'll help you solve this problem so that I can get my Earth back and I can save the day and just go back to like playing video games and doing nothing with my life. And they have some big monstrous fights in this issue, and like have to learn to work together as a team if they are actually going to save Earth, because the monsters have dropped down onto Earth, and the big battles are coming your way in this issue, and of course the big wrap-ups as well. I'm going to take a drink of wine. Again, I am drinking this Shannon Ridge. Yum. Oh wow, that is so spicy now. You have to take another drink of that. Holy crap, that was really spicy in there. And like the best way. I don't mean that in a negative way at all. That was like really, I didn't expect it to be that spicy.
Yeah, it definitely got a little spice to it now.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really good. All right, we've got Archaic issue 5 from Ahoy Comics. This is also a really big story. This is all about a woman who was already dealing with enough stuff because like her husband, something happened with him, and they've been on her and her stepson and her other 2 children have all been on the run and like trying to be in hiding. And then they find out that her dad died, and she has to go to the estate that he's from, and they're like, don't worry, it'll be a great place to hide. And then they get there, and it's this like mysterious fantasy island, and also now they can never leave because now she's the protector of this essentially living, breathing island filled with fantasy creatures. And they are learning very quickly that there is some weird stuff that's going on. And in this issue, they are essentially being chased by a banshee that has a special connection to them as a family. It's really interesting because it is their bloodline that protects them. And so for the stepson, he actually doesn't have the same protection as the family, but he's also not, he's not blinded by some of the things either. So he's actually doing this research and learning about the island, and he's kind of giving, like, our person in the chair, essentially figuring out all of the situation that needs to happen and trying to keep everybody safe. In this issue, we do get to see him kind of lose the one thing that is protecting him, but also maybe start to develop some of the connection with the island that the bloodline relatives have. Really fascinating story. I love this world that they've built out. This is the writer is a big fantasy writer, and it's her first comic book, and it's so cool to see her style of fantasy novel writing kind of transfer to the comic format, and she's just crushing it. It's such a, if you're just looking for a good, like, strange off the wall fantasy that also just, like, builds a great world that you can see even if there weren't pictures, this book definitely has that for you. Dust to Dust, issue 5, from Image and the Giant Generator imprint, which is Rick Remender's imprint. This book, man, this book, I can't wait for this book to be in trade so that I can just put it in the hands of every human that comes in, like I do with the issues, but we need more issue 1s. That's my note to sell. This is such a cool, slow moving sense of dread kind of book. It takes place during the Dust Bowl in a small town, and we're kind of following two characters. One is the sheriff of the town, and one is this woman who is a photographer from the city who has come to kind of see what's really going on in these towns that are heavily impacted by the Dust Bowl. And when she arrives, she learns that there is a family that left town, but their car has been found randomly on the side of the road, and everybody was murdered, but there's no evidence, no trail, no nothing of people having come or gone from it. And so there's this really mysterious thing going on. Meanwhile, you can only hunt for so long because, like, the dust storms come through and everything kind of just disappears, but also, like, you can't be outside. The mayor of the town is very much like the Jaws mayor, and he's like, look, we got to keep people happy to live in this town, so we can't be talking about murders. We can't be telling people things are going on. But, like, you can see, like, I think the shot is over here somewhere of the guy actually in... like the way the body looks after it's been, like, all torn up. Things are crazy. We haven't actually seen much of what's going on to kind of have an idea. So it's just, again, like that slow sense of dread, like where, like, something is happening, people are getting killed. Is it the storms? Is there a mysterious person? Is there actually a murderer? Like, is this somebody in town? We don't know. And every issue just kind of, like, slowly builds onto it. Meanwhile, like, the sheriff himself has a weird backstory. The journalist has, like, this almost, like, sweet innocence, but, like, also small, like, large city, like, hustle bustle kind of mentality. So everybody's got, like, you could make a character sketch card of every single character in this story and have so much information about them and their backstory that you could build your own book with them because the characters have so much going on. Really well done. Everybody should check this book out. And I love that it's all done in that sepia tone just to give that Dust Bowl feel. Spectrum, issue 5 from Mad Cave. I always say it. This is the book that I think, oh my God, I love this book, and also I don't know if I know what's happening in it. We are starting to see more and more of the story actually come together, as this is the story of a girl named Melody who is in fact possibly the savior of the world and is also possibly just a song. And, you know, there's something about her that we don't really fully understand, and we do get a little bit more information about her in this 5th issue as we meet her father / creator, however you want to refer to her. Once you get to that and you kind of understand it, but Melody has saved another girl, and they have become kind of partners in this quest to save the world. And in the last issue, they wandered into essentially a painting because they can kind of travel through time and space through music, and they end up in this painting, and in it the two girls ended up in 2 different places on the outside, and now our other character has been taken out of that world and become a fictional singer that is supposed to have this massive legacy, and she's kind of seeing what it's like to be the singer and have that experience, and then also realizing, like, I just want, you know, I want to have the ability to save the world. I want to figure out my family life. I want to go back and I want to do everything, and kind of like pulling out of that, like finding a way to pull yourself out of it. It's so cool. Secret societies, music is the key. The way that they make fictional versions of real musicians that you can almost kind of even pinpoint like who they actually are referencing, or like, and sometimes it's like mashups of people and places. Such a big, intricate world. We always talk about how this feels very like Grant Morrison-esque in it. It's weird, it's off the wall, it's musical, it's lyrical, it's bright colored, it's so much fun, and you know, maybe one song really can save the world. We're gonna find out. We've got the wrap-up of String with issue 5 from Mad Cave. If you've been following along with this book, you know it is the story of a woman who has the ability to see strings coming off of people. The one string will, like, she'll see black strings or blue strings. A black string will connect the person who was going to be murdered to the person who murdered them. Blue strings connects people who are essentially sleeping together or having some kind of romantic link. And she wakes up one day while she's on a case and has a black string that ties, that leads off of her to somewhere, and she cannot figure it out. And as she's a associate of the police department, the detective that she works with is helping her try to solve the case of who is going to murder her. And so we have been pulling all of that together as we literally try to pull on strings to solve the case. And in this issue, we do get to see of what those strings might mean and where it's going to go. And so I'm actually not going to show you the second half of the book because I don't want to spoil who the things, the connections all are. But you should definitely read this book. It's such a cool story, and for 5 issues you get the whole thing. And so it's great to see just this interesting new take on like a detective story. We've got Sign Up issue 5 from Mad Cave, which also says that it's the last issue, I believe. But did it say that? Did I make that up? That's not it at all. That's a preview of another book. Yeah, it did, and I was like, this cannot be the end. This is totally just 100% the beginning of the story, or like the cliffhanger. So we're definitely gonna have to have another volume of this. But this is basically a world where like young children, like a child is basically chosen to be like the mech suit wearer of and protector of humanity, and they are on the 8th kid to do that because each one does it until they get so old that they eventually lose the connection to it, and then they kind of replace them with another one, which kind of happens in like their late teens to early 20s. And so we are seeing multiple stories. We're seeing one of the boy who is training to be the 8th person. And then we are seeing past people who kind of just work for agents for the organization, going out to try to rescue the girl that they believe will be the 9th person, who the government, like leaders in charge, kind of feel like they need, because this 8th boy like cannot tap into the power the way that they need him to. We see something happens where they're all able to kind of like tap into this connection, and there is a mysterious person on the other side, and that is kind of leading us to some dark, big, scary stuff that is cliffhanger. And you write the end ? No, that's not how we're going to end this, Mad Cave. You're going to give us a volume 2, and you're going to actually tell us the rest of the story, because that's messed up. But this is definitely a great cliffhanger to tell me that there's going to be a volume 2. So I'm going to need a special email that tells me that volume 2 of this book is coming soon, because I need to know where this is going, because, woo, big cliffhanger. Those Not Afraid, issue 4 from Dark Horse. This book is another one of those where I could just constantly say this was a fun pick of the week, like, because the story itself is so interesting. Kyle Starks always has some really unique tells on like things that are popular. And this is kind of his unique look at true crime, because there are, as a woman who runs a true crime podcast starts talking about how there are 2 serial killers in town, and both of them are getting really close to topping the record for the most kills that a serial killer has ever had. And they end up meeting each other, and they're like, hey, you want to make it a competition to see who can get there first? And they've kind of developed a friendship out of it at the same time, and so they're starting to actually like connect to each other. Though there's been like, you know, people caught. There's been like, oh, the police are on my trail. There's been like my family has figured it out. Like there's been oh, you should date my friend kind of situations. Like, it's so funny how much he has humanized these two people and yet also put them in the most, like, absurd situation. So, I mean, if you were a fan of Where Monsters Lie, this is also another great a book to kind of give you a feeling like that, where we're just kind of seeing like a serial killer situation where they're very human in their day-to-day lives. Or honestly, if you're a fan of something like Dexter, I think you would really like this, which I know a lot of people are getting back into Dexter right now. But in this issue, we definitely see some big twists and turns, and I don't want to tell you about them, because from like page 1 to the end, all I will say is there's a new person on the block who wants in on the game, and from there on, everything else is a spoiler / twist and turn, and I don't want to ruin any of them. We've got Calabasas issue 4 from Black Box Comics. This is very much like your Image, like 90s characters, like we were talking about Witchblade earlier. This feels very much in line with a character like that, or a Spawn, because this is about a woman who is fighting these demons, and she's kind of having to work her way through this hellspawn space in order to save the day. And she's in this issue, she's dealing with some like situation where she's like, oh, I've got to get us out of here, and she ends up like she's trying to save this young girl, and I believe it's her dad, and she's trying to save them, and as she's like trying to defeat these monsters, she's like, okay, now we can teleport, and she ends up teleporting them to worse places, again, like literally like ultimate evil places. And so she's like, this isn't going well, and so it's like every time she tries to like, catch a break and kind of wrap things up, she just kind of makes it worse. But I really just love this cool wraparound cover of her like fighting these demons and them coming after her. I love that we're starting to see more and more. I feel like wraparound covers just kind of become the standard on a lot of these books. Hack Slash Body Bags issue 4 from Image. This is the wrap up of this little mini series we've had from the Hack Slash world that's combined with the Body Bags world. And in this series, we saw that there was a school for the serial killers and stuff, like a high school, essentially like a finishing school for serial killers, which is where the Body Bags go, and all their kids are going there to learn how to be serial killers. And in the process of that happening, Cassie Hack ends up finding herself having to take out a monster at this school. You know, she's always killing these slasher like monsters, and so she ends up going to the school and having to work with these teenage wannabe serial killers to solve the problem. And she is able to solve that, and issue 3 kind of felt like it was the end, only for us to find out that one of the kids and their father are like, hey, we could take out Cassie Hack, and we would be like the ultimate in serial killers at that point if we could like get her. And so now in this issue, it's them trying, like now they are against each other, and they're trying to like have that big battle, but some other things happen, some more slashers appear. You know, you gotta read it to find out, but it's always a big adventure when Cassie goes on it. And she does kind of have to open up herself to the fact that she's still dealing with the fact that she herself could have been one of those kids and become one of those serial killer kind of people. And so it's big moments for her. I Lie Popeye issue 4 from Massive Comics. This has been such a huge adventure for Popeye that's taken place all in like one boat dock. So it's been a huge thing. Witch came and tried to steal essentially Popeye's magic eye that he has, and for like the witch kingdom to have more power. And then they solved that in issue 1, but then some aliens invaded who are also trying to get after Popeye and the magic and things like that. And then they are going after it differently because they want Sweet Pea. They want the little baby. And they end up taking over, oh my gosh, what is the name of the guy that always falls asleep? What is his name? Why can't I remember? Let me see. Anyway, the dude that Wimpy.
Wimpy always falls asleep.
Wimpy falls asleep. And Huh?
He likes burgers.
He does like burgers. Wimpy is struggling to stay. He is actually, as he falls asleep, he gets possessed by one of these like alien creatures who is like, oh, I'm going to use you to fight against Popeye. And they are trying to do that, and they have to kind of knock Wimpy back into sense and like get this evil alien out of him. And Olive Oil is trying to use her newfound magic that she has acquired in this series to save Sweet Pea, because little Sweet Pea is in danger. And it's just fun Popeye, like modernized fun Popeye. You know, it feels very much like if you were reading a comic, if like that came out now, but it's all the Popeye characters, and it's so much fun. It's great. You got to check it out if you're a fan of Popeye. Like I have people who are fans of old school Popeye that are loving it, and fans of like kids who are like, I've never read Popeye, who are loving it. So it's kind of got a nice cross section. We've got Arkham Horror issue 4 from Dark Horse. This is the wrap-up of this book as well. Arkham Horror is about a woman who discovers that her sister may have been drawn into some cult-like dangers, and she wants to save her from these like rich elite cultists who are possibly using her sister as a sacrifice. And she ends up bringing in a detective to help her solve it, somebody who's like a supernatural detective. And over the course of the last 4 issues, they have finally found all the information they need to find her sister. And in this issue, she has found her sister, but unfortunately the bad guy is still there. So we need to take out the bad guy, and we need to take out all of the demons and misused time that is kind of attacking everybody. They kind of got to get all of that taken care of in order to wrap it up. And some big sacrifices are going to have to be made in order to actually complete this mission, and we're gonna see if what happens as you read it. Into the Unbeing, issue 3. This is also Dark Horse. I was like, is this Dark Horse? Yes. This is actually volume 2, issue 3, and yes, you do have to read volume 1 in order to jump into this, because it does just pick up right where it left off. But this is, the world is in essentially kind of like destroyed by global warming, and there is this group of people who are out in like Australia trying to find any sense of living beings again, and they see some mysterious mountain formation that has some high readings of life on it, and they end up going into a cave only to find themselves essentially in the body of some giant godlike being. And now they are stuck in there, and there are mysterious creatures, there are sentient, like weird life forms just kind of growing out of things. There's like monsters, there's acidic lakes, there's every problem that you could come across, and also they're all kind of going crazy, and they're losing it, and they have recently found contact with somebody who was lost in there hundreds of years before them, and so it's kind of a like, how is this person still alive, what is going on? Weird things are happening. Are they ever going to make it out? Are they going to survive? Who knows where this is going to go? They don't. They're completely and totally lost, and now we're trying to like read journal entries and everything and learn, and we're not gonna, I don't have hope. It does not feel like we're making it out of there alive. We've got Lilith issue 3 from Vault. Everybody has been asking me when this was coming. It is here. I don't know when the next issue is going to come. I don't know at all, but I am very happy that this one is here because I love this book so much. This is the story of a vampire named Lilith who is trying to figure out essentially how to get her magic back. She was very close to being the ruling vampire of the world, and had a lot of things go wrong, and so she wants to get this magic back, and she discovers that a young girl who owns an indie bookstore has the magic book that she needs, and she doesn't know how to read it, or she can't read it because of her, you know, whatever curse is on her, and so she needs this young girl who's also like in her 20s, to help her figure out what the book is and teach her the magic she needs to know. And it's really cute because Lilith is like super succubus. Like, I go out on dates and then I like kill the people and I bathe in their blood and I drink and I live, and it's all great and wonderful. And this girl is like awkward nerd, I own a bookstore kind of girl, and they have developed the cutest friendship, and I really want them to get together and live happily ever after. It would be great. I totally 100% ship them. But there is monsters and dark beings still coming after Lilith, and Lilith is trying to hide that she is essentially this demonic person that is dangerous and could be, you know, could be like the mother of demons, and she's trying to hide that from this girl who's so sweet and kind, but it's getting a little bit harder to do, and I love this book so much. So if you just, you know, want to read something that's got like a very sweet paprika kind of with a lot less nudity, very sweet paprika, almost kind of esque, like demons angels kind of feel, but more serious and adorable all at the same time, that's a great one. We've got Flash Gordon Quarterly, issue 3, from Mad Cave. Obviously, this one comes out once a quarter. And because of that, it does have multiple stories in it to kind of fill in some of the world of the Flash Gordon Defenders universe that Mad Cave has been building out. Defenders of the Earth universe, I should say. And the first story in here is talking about the Lion Men, which is a planet in like the Flash Gordon world, and they have been struggling with the fact that a lot of their people are going missing, and the prince of this place has been out helping Flash Gordon on all of his missions, and the king is like, you're not here, you're not helping our people, and now they've gone missing. Sometimes it's better to be a good prince and a good ruler than it is to just be the hero that's like flashy like Flash Gordon. And so he has to go on this mission to try to save his people, and he is actually learning how to accept help and partnerships with other people as he is doing that. So no Flash Gordon in that issue really, other than just like by references. And then the second issue is a story about Ming, who he believes he's dying, and in that he is trying to figure out essentially who betrayed him and caused the problem that is killing him to happen. And we see like, if Ming was dying, how would he want to go out? And it's exactly what I would assume. And then there's a recurring story at the back, which is Flash Gordon kind of early days. Like, he's actually not even Flash Gordon yet, like in that sense of being the superhero. And he is being interviewed by this reporter or FBI agent, she's not a reporter, an FBI agent who's kind of going to be the one who leads him on the quest to become Flash Gordon, because it is his family's legacy that kind of seems to be the leading point for what she needs help with. We got Bug Wars issue 3 from Image Comics. This is essentially Game of Thrones with bugs in a backyard kind of situation going on. It's all about a young boy who him and his mom and his older brother have just moved back into their family home after his father was killed, and they kind of left the house for a while because the older brothers found the dad dead in the house, and it was very traumatic, as one would expect. But this young boy has now found an amulet in the downstairs basement where his dad always used to go and work on his bugs, and because he was, a bug scientist. And so the kid found an amulet, and that amulet has shrunk him down, and now he finds himself in the backyard in the middle of wars between bugs, beetles, ants, everything. And actually he's kind of put into a Thunderdome kind of situation where they think that he needs to be a gladiator and fight his way to the death or whatever. And in that process of doing that, they discover that he is actually the son of Jim, the Jim, their great and wonderful leader who came to them and was able to shrink himself down and help them and be a friend to all bugs. And so now he is kind of being treated with reverence and kind of given this expectation that he will also be the savior that will help them in their great war that all the bugs are teaming up for. The only problem is that is a war against his brother, and the bugs are trying to kill his brother, and he is like, oh, I don't like him either. He's a bully, but we can't just go around killing my brother. So we're going to see how that plays out. I believe that's only a 5-issue series, so he's got to make some choices really fast. We've got Lenore, the Time War issue 3. This is from Titan Comics. This is actually the end of this little arc for Lenore. Hopefully we get more issues because it's fun to have her around. But basically this actually helps us figure out how Lenore and friends ended up all spread across time in different places, because when we came into the first issue, all of Lenore's buddies were all in different points in time, like prehistoric time, the future, different things like that. And now they are all together, and there is an army of goats, floating goats in tracksuits, because it's Lenore, so it's got to be weird. Floating goats in tracksuits have come, and they are ready to attack these people, and they are specifically coming after Lenore and her friends, because they say that Lenore and her friends have done something, they have wronged them, and Lenore is adamant that they very nicely experienced these goats before, and they may have nicely invited them to dinner, and they may have nicely eaten some of the goats, and they don't understand why the goats are mad at them. But we do figure out so many different things, and we have a great, hilarious adventure. And if you are a fan of something like Invader Zim, you probably would like Lenore. The Hive, issue 3 from Image Comics. This is such an interesting concept of a book. I'm really curious, like, what I should read the back page letters someday to see, because I'm on issue 1, because I'm really curious how this concept came to them. But this is basically if you can get your brain to function at the level that bees do, you could control people's minds, and you could oversee things and get everything you wanted out of the world. And essentially, there are people who have figured out how to do that, and so those who are really good at it obviously become queens of hives, and then they have all of their different workers, and they are able to kind of steal this. We are specifically following right now a faction of people who have left the hive, who don't think that the queen has the best interest of the people at heart, and they have recently met a man who just kind of appeared out of nowhere and is like, I had no idea that people had that ability, and I have no idea what this like frequency you're talking about is, and I've never been a part of a hive. And they're like, that's like impossible, like everybody is, and everybody has some knowledge of it. And he ends up, maybe being like the strongest one, maybe being somebody who can come to save them, or battle the queen. But the queen at the same time is up to some no good shenanigans of her own. And it's a really interesting like crime family take on a story with all of this like bee related things. Really fascinating, really well written. So definitely check it out. Gotcha Man, Only One Earth, issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is one of the Gotcha Man stories. We've got quite a few coming from this universe. They're really building it out at Mad Cave. And on this one, we've been following along as Ken and Joe have gone to a different place, and they were supposed to be protecting this princess as they were having like an F1 race kind of situation, in honor of like the celebration of, an anniversary of something special for her people. And in the process, the place is attacked, and the princess, Joe, and Ken all end up underground, and they find out that the people used to live down there, and there's a lot of stuff that still remains, and a lot of history of her town, her village or whatever, lies down there. And they are figuring out that there is a great power that they may need to not only get out of this, but also maybe will help them defeat Galactor and keep these people safe. Meanwhile, everybody else is kind of trying to figure out where they are, because they, as far as they know, like the planes just crashed. And they are possibly going to have some big showdown in the next issue, because they have awoken some things that they should not have necessarily tampered with, and some stuff is definitely coming our way, for the better or the worse. We're going to find out in the next issue. Mine is A Long Lonesome Grave, issue 3 from Oni Press. This is honestly just a horrific revenge story. Like, it's like half horror, half revenge tale. A man gets out of prison and returns home to kind of see what is going on with his his daughter, who's grown up while he's in prison, and he wants to like find the money he buried and like give it to her because she's on her own and make sure that she's safe. Meanwhile, in the process of that, he finds out that he has been cursed with some really dark magic by the people who kind of ran him out of town, and quite possibly might have been the people behind like whatever darkness that he got involved in that put him in jail in the first place. And now he's like, you know, I think y'all are responsible for the death of my wife. I think you're putting my daughter in danger. I know you've cursed me and you've done all of this terrible stuff to me. And so he's like, I'm going to take you down one at a time. And it's just literally him going after each of them for revenge. And we get in, you know, this issue 3. So there's got to be a turn, and there is a big turn at the second half of this book. Shadow of the Golden Crane, issue 3 from Dark Horse and your Hellboy universe. This is one of those great books where if you know nothing about Hellboy, it doesn't matter. You can still step foot into that world and kind of become a part of it for a minute, which is how I love about these books. This is about a woman who is, you know, part of that, like, BRPD detective agency kind of investigating all of these, like, ancient artifacts and mysterious situations that are going on. And every time she does, she touches the artifact, she's able to go back into its history and kind of see the impact that it's had. And she's learning that there is something going on with this secret society of people that was the Golden Crane throughout history. And somehow all of these different artifacts are starting to show up and kind of leading her all down this path where she may have to do some real investigation and figure out what their connection is to her and what their connection is to whatever mysterious thing is building here. It's really cool because each one, because she does kind of touch a different artifact in each one and learn something different, we actually get a completely unique story for everything, and yet the overarching story is moving us closer to something big that we're probably going to find out in the next issue, what that tying factor is for all of those story pieces. Welcome to Twilight, issue 2 from Dark Horse and the World of Minor Threats. Much like I just said with Shadow of the Golden Crane, you don't actually have to have read Minor Threats to read these World of Minor Threats books. And this one specifically, Welcome to Twilight, is actually an anthology series just kind of teaching us about more characters from the Minor Threats world. And in this one, we actually see a new character we've never seen before who has returned home to this city for the first time and is very upset to find out that she's from, like, the crime family she's from, her uncle has taken over and has gotten involved in a bunch of things that she doesn't want the family to be in, and so she's come back to essentially take over her family and put the uncle out one way or another. What is cool though is that this is one that kind of connects to the characters from Minor Threats a little bit, in that we do get to see her connection to our Minor Threats main character, and how that may have been something big building for the Minor Threats world to return, which we do see. It says, like, we're going to hear more about it in the future, and so I'm really excited to see, like, how this character is going to come into play as we move to maybe see some Minor Threats come back. All right, we've got Sister Imperator, and this is issue 2. It's from Dark Horse, and this is actually the Ghost comic. And I am going to tell you this flat out. I don't know much about ghosts. Like, if you ask me to name a ghost song, I can't. I just can't. I have heard them, but I couldn't tell you much about them. What were you? Oh, I was like, do you have ghost information for me? I know you do. That's why I was like, oh, do you have? And I know that this is a character that has appeared in a lot of ghost music videos and is, like, known, like, to be a part of the, like, lore of the ghost band story and saga. So I honestly, like, did not read issue 1 initially because I was like, I don't know Ghost, and so it probably won't be a big deal. And then I was like, you know what, I want to check it out because it looks kind of cool, and I am so glad I read it. I'm not gonna lie, I almost made this my pick of the week. I really enjoyed this story. This is the backstory of Sister Imperator, and she is basically she's been arrested because she has killed this priest, and, like, in this wild, crazy way. Like, I guess he's a reverend, not a priest. She's, like, tortured and killed this man, and so they've arrested her, and so now she's in prison, and they're like, we want to hear the story. And so it kind of jumps back, and you see how this reverend kind of, like, forced his way into her family because he wanted to be with her mom, and just, like, the murder and deceit and terrible things he did, and then, like, her running away from that situation and literally joining the circus, and then her, like, trying to come back. Like, in this issue, she's coming back to America to kind of try to deal with what impacted her. It's so well done, and And shout out to because it's actually written by Tobias Forge, or at least it's partially written. The script is Karina Becco, but he did created the character and the concept. But shout out to them because it's on newsprint. And so it smells so delicious and it looks so cool. And so if you're going to make a comic as a celebrity, like, I think going with a newsprint comic is an excellent choice. But yeah, it's actually a really great story, even if you know nothing about Ghost. And I know, Matt, you know a little bit. Do you know anything about that character?
Absolutely not. But I don't know any of the newer music from them. I'm always lost because I don't know them after 2015.
And I was looking it up on Wikipedia, and it sounds like it's something that, like, she's been in, like, their music videos, like, for forever, and she's, like, a big character for them, but I don't really know, like, how much of that story has ever been told, which is why I think that this has come in. But it is really just, like, women getting vengeance on, like, men who wronged her, like...
Just ghosts show up in it.
No.
With their makeup and their cool masks.
Nothing about them at all so far. So I don't know if they're going to. I don't know if there will ever. I should hold this up while we talk about it. I don't know if there's ever going to actually be any point where we see Ghost. Maybe like in the future. But because now she's just telling her story. And I love it too because the guy jumps in and he's like, what does this have to do with like why you killed that person? And she's like, do you want me to tell you the story or not? And I love that she's just like, I have no time for any of this. Telling you my story.
Is there any mention of an emeritus or Papa Emeritus?
There isn't, but there's a mention of like the clergy in general, and like I know, and that's what I looked up is like she in their lore is like the leader of the clergy and like the and like what or was at one point, and so I think that there's gonna be some point where that all connects to the ghost story, but I don't know, I have to read the whole thing, and then when I get to the end I'm gonna be like, okay, here's what it is, somebody tell me about it. I need a teenager to come tell me how this story works. I know the exact teenager to call out to. All right, we've got The Mummy issue 2 from Image, Skybound, and Universal Monsters, which is great because we are in the world of Epic coming to life right now, and all of the monsters coming to life at Universal Studios. So it's great that they have been bringing back the Universal Monsters in book form. This is the story of a girl that's in like her 20s who is half Egyptian, half British, is around in the time frame when they actually originally awoke Imhotep, and now it is 20 years later. I think it's 21 years later or something. No, maybe not that long. Maybe it is 21 years. I don't know. It's like 20 years later after like Imhotep's been woken. And hang on. Now I gotta do math. That's not it. It's like 15 years probably. 10, 15 years. It's not that long. She's not that old. Anyway, ever since Imhotep was awoken and like some people, she lived by one of the dig sites, and ever since all of that's gone down, she's kind of had a voice inside of her head that she's heard, who is another, like a woman that she's kind of connected with. And if you're a fan of The Mummy, you might have an idea of where this is going, because now a strange man has appeared who seems to know all about the situation and is trying to awaken the princess mummy that is on display, the woman they believe to be a princess whose name was an ox and a moon. And so this is kind of the story of this woman, this young 20-somethings-year-old girl, who may be the reincarnation, or at least the person they are going to put an ox and a moon in. And we are seeing that kind of story play out in like the voices in her head and all the stuff that's coming to that, and the fruition of, in this issue, them like actually trying to awaken an ox and a moon. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. I just love The Mummy, and I love that we're doing an ox and a moon based story. I'm so happy. Anyway, sorry. Out of Alcatraz, issue 2 from Oni Press. This is what if the people who had escaped from Alcatraz, there's the story of the 1960s escape from Alcatraz where 3 men were supposedly got on a raft and escaped, and they may or may not have made it, and it's always been contingent of whether or not they did. There was the entire movie Escape from Alcatraz that was made on the subject matter. Well, this is what if they actually did make it, And where did they go? And so in this story, basically 2 of the 3 men make it out, and they are met by this woman who is like, okay, you have to come work for the person who helped me rescue you, get you out of there. Like, that's the rules, is that you have to do that. Well, of course, they like don't want to get stuck in jail or anything else that feels like a cage ever again. So they're already trying to get out of this situation, and they have made some terrible mistakes that has led them all into even more danger. And meanwhile, they might not be the only ones that escaped, and there might be somebody, like some other stuff that's coming. And so in this issue, we start to see people hot on their tail, FBI, police, and maybe just some other criminals. And so we're going to see them kind of make their way to some more danger as the story unfolds. We've got Blade Forger issue 2 from Mad Cave. This is a massive universe that's new from the Miranda brothers, who did We Live back in like 2020. If you haven't read that, then check it out, because it was really cool. Volume 1 of that was really, really cool. But we have this new world where basically all of the people have been kind of split into factions. There's this magical stuff, like there's I don't know what it is basically, but like magic. And anyway, the person who kind of, the people who can wield that and use these swords go into these battles every 5 years, and whoever wins the battle of the magic sword users becomes the emperor for the next 5 years until the next battle has happened. Well, for the last like 100 years almost, it's really not that long, but for the last like 60 years, this one man has been the person who wins every time, and he has been the emperor since then. And he has been training his young daughter her whole life to take over in his footsteps and kind of become the new ruler. And she has gotten to the point where, like, now that she's come of age and she's left home because she doesn't feel like her dad is living up to the expectations she expects of her emperor, not so much of being a father. And so she is out there on her own now, and it is time for the new battle. And so the battle is about to begin, the battle of the 5-year battle for who's going to be the new emperor. And is she going to enter, and is she going to win, and is she going to have to battle her dad? Because that's the ultimate last battle every time, is to fight the emperor. We're going to see, and it's going to be, there's a lot of family drama that is coming out of that story. Assorted Crisis Event issue 2 from Image Comics. This is an anthology about time being just completely disrupted, and people going through different crises because of that time struggle. And so in this issue, we are learning about a guy who is supposed to be, he is working at a food processing plant, and he is struggling with the fact that his dad has recently died, and we do see like the death of both of his parents eventually throughout the story. And he's kind of dealing with the emotion of that. He's dealing with the possibility that he might lose his job, because he is actually having to talk to the company therapist to figure out whether or not he's fit to still work the job, because he is the person who's on the meat grinder, and if he isn't able to focus at the factory, he might cause a complete and total accident, or be a danger to himself and others. This is done like in multiple different layers of time, because again, that's the whole point, is like time is out of order. So we kind of see him dealing with the trauma of his childhood. We him dealing with the death of his father, which you learn a lot about as this unfolds, and I don't want to tell you too much about it. You see him kind of dealing with trying to get a job. We see him becoming a father, and it's all, like I said, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. And it works really well for him kind of processing his grief to have it that way. Great standalone issue, and definitely something, if you aren't checking out Assorted Crisis Events, you should definitely check that out. Solomon Kane issue 2 from Titan Comics. This is such a big, like, novel in comic form kind of story, but this is about Solomon Kane, who is essentially like a Puritan who also gets involved with a lot of like different battles, and kind of goes around and like helps people in different ways. Anyway, he is on one mission, and in the process of that mission, he is given an item and told by the man who is dying to take it back to his brother-in-law in another place. And so he goes and takes it to that person, and he's like, this is this is a big thing. We need to go, and if he's dead and this has been given to us, then we need to go on this quest to figure out this situation and find the mysterious like information that goes with it that we're slowly learning about. Meanwhile, these pirates also really want that information, and they also want to go after this thing, and so they kind of are like, we're forcing you to go with us. You're all on our team now. And we get, you know, a little bit of like a Pirates of the Caribbean meets Indiana Jones situation as these people get in bar fights and have to like deal with being on a ship and have to deal with like the people that they approach as they arrive in Africa where they're going on their quest. And so it's just a very big story that's already built out a lot. And you kind of, when you jump into issue 1, you almost feel like, did I miss something? Am I supposed to know something that's already happening? And I feel like after reading issue 2, I'm like, oh no, we're just on this adventure. Whether or not like there's other Solomon Kane adventures that you needed to have read doesn't really matter, because you can kind of piece it together as you go.
You know, he's a Robert E. Howard character.
I did not.
And so it came out in Weird Tales back during the story of Red Nails, which was the Conan the Cimmerian storyline. It was like the backup story that also was written by Robert E. Howard.
Nice.
Yes.
I knew he was an older character, but I didn't know where he was from.
Fans of Conan.
Fans of Conan. Yes. That is who's picking it up, is people who like Conan. Prodigal Son, issue 2 from AMP Comics. This is the story of a young boy who is in the Old West and sees his father get murdered by a group of bandits, essentially. And he meets another man. Like, a man comes and essentially is like, I'm going after these bandits. Anybody, like, don't get in my way. And this kid sees him and is like, oh my gosh, like, this is the guy. He can help me take these people out. Maybe he can help me become like this vigilante I want to be. And so he teams up with this silent, like, older cowboy kind of guy. And as they're on their way, they kind of, you know, find themselves stopping to help other people. And in this issue, a mom has been attacked, and her and her daughter out on their ranch, they've been attacked by some people who are trying to, you know, steal and take all their animals and their food and anything else that they can get from them. And they end up helping her. And kind of, she's like, hey, little kid, like, you shouldn't be out on this mission. And you should come with me. I'm going to go to a city. And then as like the time goes on in the story, they're like kind of realizing that they're all in this place where they really need like revenge. They need this quest, and they kind of all need each other. And so the team is growing, and the helpfulness is something that they're going to all have to learn to balance between hating each other and hating the people that they're all after. We've got Mothra, issue 2 from IDW. I'm really excited about this series because I love Mothra, and this has been so much fun. She really is the queen of monsters. And in the first issue, we saw 2 girls in the modern time who live in a place where kaiju just kind of happen, attacks happen, and they are expecting Mothra to come save them, but Mothra is no longer able to, Mothra is killed, and basically there's no new Mothra egg, and they're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Like, that's our protector, there's no Mothra. And so the Mothra twin priestesses come, and they're like, you are supposed to be this generation's Mothra leaders, and so what we're gonna do is we have to send you back in time to find a Mothra egg and bring it up to this future period so that you can bring Mothra back to life and save the people from all of the bad things that are happening. And these 2 girls are supposed to be training to become the priestesses, but they are twin sisters who just cannot get it together. They have so much disunity and anger towards each other and their situation that they're just kind of making the situation worse. And they have some big revelations in this issue about what the lack of unity can actually do if these 2 girls cannot learn to work together. Really great. Again, if you're a fan of Mothra or kaiju in general, you gotta read it. All right, we've got some number 1s. Before I talk about them, I'm going to take a drink of my wine. That's the Shannon Ridge. Oh, I gotta stop taking big drinks with all the spices in it now. So much fruity flavor too, though. It's so good. All right, we've got Arcana Royale issue 1 from Dark Horse. This is the story of a girl who is very much kind of that like card shark, full of herself, like, oh, I'm gonna, she's known for just being the girl that never loses, and she kind of is probably hustling everybody in the process of doing it. She is approached by a group of people that are like, hey, we want you to join in this league, essentially, that is filled with magic users, and basically the stakes are not just money. Like, yeah, you'll win money, but you're also going to win actual, like, magic power and control over demons and things like that. And they're like, we need you to step in and represent us, because we all need to take them down, but none of us are good enough to win, and you are. And so she's like, okay, like, I don't care, I just like winning. And so she's like, I'll play the game. And so she ends up getting into this league and kind of getting in over her head very quickly. And we see that from both her point of view and from the story, because she is narrating it at the same time. And she very much is going to find herself in a lot of danger if she doesn't learn to humble herself in front of these very dark and dangerous people. But it is the start, and so it's 4-issue series. We're going to see just exactly how much trouble she can get into in that time. G.I. Joe Real American Hero has brought back silent issues. And so we are seeing some of these for each of the characters. We've had one, I think we've had 2 or 3 of them now. And this one is all about Roadblock, who's a member of the Joes, and it is him on a mission. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it is silent, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of the artwork and let you know that silent missions are back. Silent missions from the old G.I. Joe run were really popular, and so it's cool that they have started them again in that Real American Hero issue. What?
There's that silent issue. Because issue 21, the Snake Eyes issue, is the most famous issue of the G.I. Joe series and the most expensive one, and that issue is silent.
It's silent.
And now you've brought back that concept as its own ongoing series.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there ever were other issues besides 21. I was talking to a gentleman about this at the counter today.
I don't know. I thought they said that there was a couple other ones, but that is the one that was like, there's going to be 4, I think, this time. But I think when I read the letter, there was, this one talks about 21. So, yeah. There's 5 issues, sorry, not 4 of this. Yeah.
Everyone loves 21.
Everyone loves 21. It's the silent interlude is what it was called.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there's 5 of them. I think the last one is Duke, I think is what it said. Gotchman Ryu Scavengers. This is we're doing some one-shots of some of the other characters in the Gotchman world. Because, of course, the story kind of focuses mainly on Ken as the leader of the Science Ninja team. And so I really liked this one. That was really cute. Ryu is kind of more of our awkward, silent nerd who is the pilot of the group. And so he's not even really on a lot of the missions, like outside of being in the bird that I don't remember what they call their ship. But he's always in the ship, kind of just overseeing everything and kind of helping everybody out. And so he kind of feels like, yeah, he's a member of the team, but he doesn't think he should be called a hero. And he doesn't think he has like the same skills and everything as everybody else, because he's like, I'm just the tech guy who flies the plane. And he is out on his own in this issue, and there is a big attack of some giant like crustacean people. And then they have taken all of the old mech that has crashed from all the people that the Science Ninja team have like beaten, and all the stuff that has fallen into the water, and they've taken that and they've built their own giant mech and kind of turned it into a god that has become sentient. And he's like, I'm the only person here. There's no time to call anybody. I guess I have to fight it myself. And he realizes that he is a hero, and that using his gadgets doesn't make him less of a member of the team. It actually has a value in and of itself, and it's just really cute and a really great one-shot. And now I think he might be my favorite member of the team. Cabs in Action versus Al Capone Vampire. This is from American Mythology, and it is a one-shot. So this is all you need, and it's essentially our relaunch of bringing Captain Action back into the comic book world right now. And so in this issue, we see that Al Capone Vampire, who just had a series of his own at American Mythology, is working with some people to create a a deal. There's some stuff that he's trying to get his hands on from another possibly mythological being that's like crazy monster dude as well, and they need attorneys to help them through the process. And so Captain Action is actually they believe it is Dr. Evil who is actually meeting with Al Capone, that is going to be bringing in all of whatever this bad new drug is that they're trying to put on the market. And he's masquerading as the attorney in this so that they can do a sting operation on the situation. They didn't know it was Al Capone. They kind of learn it here, and they're trying to figure out how Al Capone is still alive. They are not actually like sure again if it's Dr. Evil, if it's somebody else. We do get to see Lady Action as well. So it's super cool. I can't wait. It like I said, is a one shot, but they do say like, hey, there's going to be more adventures for both Al Capone Vampire and Captain Action coming your way. So super cool. Red Range issue 1 from Dead Sky. This is about a man who, again, is looking for vengeance. We see it's kind of in a weird, like, kind of Old West, but also kind of like its own fantasy world with dinosaurs and everything. And so it's like very like piratey, also dinosaur-y, also Western in and of itself. But this man has his wife and child have been taken, and so he is trying to get his own vengeance. And as he's doing that, like I said, he ends up in a place with really weird tech and really weird dinosaurs and things. And he ends up meeting this woman who's like, hey, we're going after these people. And he's like, I just want to go home. And she's like, us too, but until we go after these people, we're not going to be able to do it. Like, you help us get these people, we'll help you get home. And he's like, deal. And so they are going to go on a really big adventure to try to make all of that happen. Buried Long, Long Ago, issue 1 from Mad Cave. Another wild first issue from Mad Cave to start off a crazy new horror story. This is the story of 3 girls, 3 young kids who their mom has recently married a new man on a farm as a way to try to find a place for their family to live when things are hardships. And so these girls have been living with their aunt, and the mom has finally sent for them. And so they come on the train and are, and arrive. And the mom is like, now that you're here, I want you to refer to him as Papa. I want you to tell him you love living on his farm. I want you to give him all of your respect. Really build it up very quickly how much you love him. And the mom is like, we're also going to have dinner, and we're going to treat him with this just like utmost respect, and we want to serve the best dinner we can possibly do. And then she's like, I'm very happy to have this husband of mine. And then I don't want to show you that. I don't know if I can show you much of anything on this, but I will say there's something creepy lurking outside, that weird noises that are terrifying the children, and a mysterious death, and some stuff that really, really changes the dynamic of the story very quickly. I'm going to leave it for you because it's issue 1 and it just came out, and so I'm not going to tell you what that is, but I will tell you when issue 2 hits. I am probably going to spoil that on the show for you because you're going to need to know, because there is something diabolical going on in this household with this mother, and the world that these kids are living in has gotten very, very terrifying very quickly. And seriously, pick this book up. You're not going to want to miss it, and it's going to go fast once we get there. All right. I got, as usual, we've got your 3 picks of the week. We're going to kick it off with The Last Boy issue 2 from Boom Studios. I am a huge fan of Dan Penosian's Alice Ever and Never After series that he just did. And this is him doing the same thing with Peter Pan. And, I love that he's balancing 2 different worlds. We've got Peter, who is still the young boy in Neverland, but we are also seeing that Wendy is grown up, as are the boys in the real world. And Wendy is trying so hard to be a novelist, and she I don't want to get married. I don't want to have those responsibilities until I've proven myself as a novelist. Meanwhile, everything's changed in Neverland. The Lost Boys have all grown up, and Peter's the only one left. Tiger Lily and her people are making deals with Captain Hook that are changing everything. And something big and crazy happened at the end of issue 1. And again, I'm going to give you just one more issue before I spoil that entirely for you. But Peter has figured out that he needs to go on a quest to maybe look at things in a different way. And in the process of doing that, he is told that there is a new villain in Neverland. And Peter is like, I am going to fight that villain and I'm going to take them down. And maybe this is the great adventure, you know, as Peter is always looking for, the next great adventure that I'm going to have. But something tragic must always happen at the end of one of these issues. And the tragic thing that happened is something that we've never seen happen in a Peter Pan story before. And I don't really know how we're going to come back from it. Meanwhile, Wendy and the boys are struggling with reality in their world. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to connect, because with Alice, it immediately connected her, even though it was her in a mental institution, in an asylum, and all of the characters from Wonderland were kind of there. And then she was also, like, her world was seeing Wonderland, like, in that. We have not seen how Wendy and the boys are going to cross over with Peter and Neverland just yet. And so I'm very curious to see how that is going to connect when the time comes. All right. I don't normally bring Big IP into Picks of the Week. But I have to do this because honestly, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series that's happening right now has been so good. And this is issue 8 from IDW. And I absolutely... the emotional turmoil that these turtles are going through. Again, I keep saying this has been kind of like my last Ronin that Jason Aaron's been building. But this is... the follow of the end of the Turtle series that came previously left all of the brothers separated, and Master Splinter was dead, and now the over the course of this 8 issues, the first 4, Jason Aaron kind of showed us where each turtle was at. Michelangelo had become a star in Japan. Raphael was, doing his vengeance missions as usual. Leo was learning to meditate and kind of just stepping back from feeling like he had the weight of the world on him at all times. And Donatello had actually been put into essentially a gladiator pit and a place where they were mistreating mutanimals. And Donatello would take the fight for everybody. And he's now had a dead rat that he's been carrying around that he believes to be Master Splinter is in that rat, and he's been talking to it. And now all of the brothers are back in New York, and they're very worried about Donatello, though none of them can work together. They all think Donatello has kind of snapped. They each go out every night and kind of fight in the city on their own, and they're kind of lost sight of things. And Donatello's been like, you guys need to you're not focusing on the right thing. And in this issue, Leo is trying to figure out what exactly is going on with Donatello. And so he follows him through the city one night. And while he's sitting there saying like, oh, I've got to focus myself, I've got to rethink about everything, he realizes that Donatello has actually maybe not snapped as much as he thought. And like maybe the things that Donatello is talking about are more important than any of the things that they are. And so maybe like Donnie's going to bring, like slowly awaken each one of them back to reality. But in this issue, it's kind of focused on Leo, and it's just such a good issue and such a good story to see these guys just in a completely different way than we've seen the Turtles in a long time, because we don't really see them very broken very often, and it being so like emotionally charged around the idea of them not being able to find their center with each other or as a team. And it's been so good. And so if you haven't been reading the New Ninja Turtles, you absolutely should. And then to go completely opposite end of the spectrum, that's crazy emotional. You're going to have all the feels and all the love and like try to like figure out who you want to be in this world when you read it. But I also brought you Moonshine Bigfoot, issue 1, because this book is ridiculous, and sometimes you just need a little ridiculous story to make your week better. And this week has been like super busy, and there's been so much going on and so much stress for us personally and professionally and everything, that it was really nice to just have the most ridiculous book coming your way. And Image definitely brought us that with this book. This is the story of Bigfoot, who is, kind of like anthropomorphic in that he like walks and talks, and he makes moonshine, and he's very popular in his town, which is Buzzard County. So this is essentially like Dukes of Hazzard meets Bigfoot, and he's got a hippie girlfriend who wears little Daisy Duke shorts, and the whole issue takes place in a car chase. And so like the cops are coming after him for selling his moonshine and causing a ruckus. He wants to make the experience more hilarious and fun for him, so he brings in he tells like the Bigfoot hunters where he's gonna be, so now they're chasing him and they're getting caught up in the car chase with the cops, and then his biggest car rival is now involved with it, and now there's these other people who are just trying to prove like that it's not a real Bigfoot and that it's like a man who's just making moonshine, and they want the recipe for the moonshine because it's so popular. They're involved. There's a whole bunch of mess, and it is over the top. It's ridiculous. It's so great. It's hilarious. You're laughing on every page. You're like, where is this going? Does it have to go anywhere? Probably not. It's just a car chase, and it's just a Bigfoot who is living his best life. And the people who, the evil corporation that's trying to steal his moonshine recipe, that's also like doing some weird cryptozoology like research. And, it's got all of the ridiculous elements of one of those absurd off the wall stories, and you don't want to miss it. And you know what? It also has, because they release a chupacabra to try to hunt him down, and the chupacabra gets away, and so it's got a backup story, and that's going to be in every issue. That's going to tell you the adventures of the like loose chupacabra, which is kind of adorable, honestly. It's so good. I don't know. Everybody read this book. It's hilarious. It's funny. It's going to have heart. It's going to be great. Moonshine Bigfoot, issue 1. Get on it. It's so great. All right. That's all that I have for those. I'm going to run through some of the other books that are in stock really fast. We've had Power Girl issue 20 out this week, which I'm so excited to say that Power Girl has an ongoing that's at issue 20. Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagle double feature issue 2, Monstrous issue 57, Infinity Watch issue 4, Green Arrow issue 23, Eddie Brock Carnage issue 3. We had more Hush coming your way with Batman 159. The Avengers issue 25. We've got Absolute Wonder Woman issue 7. This is such a great series. If you're not reading it, it is becoming quickly the fan favorite of the Absolutes. Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 2. One World Under Doom issue 3. Green Lantern Dark issue 4. Harley Quinn hit issue 50 on this run. Always a great time with Harley Quinn. Metamorpho hit issue 5. We've got New Champions issue 4. Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger issue 4. Rat City issue 13. The New Amazing Spider-Man already on issue 2. You better get on that. I'm sure second prints of that first one will come out soon. Superman issue 25. Turtles of Grayskull issue 4. X-Force issue 10 / Legacy number 300. X-Men issue 15. Magic hit issue 4 this week. And then we've got some great graphic novels and trade paperbacks in the shelves this week. We've got White Lily, which is the story of 2 of the deadliest female fighters who ever lived, flying together as wingmen. These historical figures became the only 2 women ever to earn the title of ace fighter pilot. Revolution 9, which is part of that Mad Cave underworld. This is all about Velveteen, who is an agent who has turned her back on the world that she is supposed to be working for. This is all 4 issues and set you up for that endless night coming your way soon. The Complete Rifters is here. Brian Posehn writing a comedy story about an action comedy about 2 people who work as time cops in a world that is a complete disaster. Toxic Summer. 2 boys want to go have the greatest summer of their lives, only to find out that the beach has been covered in toxic slime, and they have to figure out how to stop the monsters causing it. Geiger, Volume 2. Now, here's what I wanted to tell you. I'm so excited that this is out, because we've had Geiger for a while with the original run, the 2021 Geiger. Volume 2, if you see it, of Geiger is actually the 2024 Geiger 1 through 6 and the 80-page giant Geiger that came out in between those 2. So if you're like, I need the new Geiger in trade, it's right here. It's going to say Volume 2 on the side. This is actually the 1 through 6 of the 2024 Geiger, so if you want to catch up. Plastic Man No More. This is the complete hardcover of that new Plastic Man series. And The Bees, The Women Who Rocked Lithuania. This is a graphic novel about the Lithuanian musicians who founded a rock band to be kind of like the female equivalent of the Beatles, who ended up going throughout the Soviet Union in the 60s and 70s and starting a revolution through all of their music and political acts that they did. And this is based on the interviews of the musicians themselves and turned into a graphic memoir. That's all I got for you. Don't forget, Creator Meetup is this Wednesday at 6:30. And most importantly, do not forget that free comic book day is Saturday, May 3rd. We're going to be opening the doors at 11. Come get your free books. And if you're available this Tuesday night at 6:30, join us at the Ringling College Library so that you can be a part of our gallery display opening up this week for that reception, which will be on display all summer long. It's going to be great to learn about some historical comics. There's some really great ones in there. We will see you probably this week, probably on Saturday for Free Comic Book Day. Until then, happy reading, everyone. Bye.